Well, hello everyone. Welcome. We are excited to be with you today. Robert Imbriali here, and I have a plethora of guests joining us today as we talk more about the southern border and everything that's going on there. It looks like about an hour ago, the federal government gave Abbott's administration until tomorrow to let the feds into Eagle Pass, into that park there, and we'll see what happens. It looks like we are very much on the edge of a showdown here. And I think a lot of us were looking forward to this in some way. We were saying, hey, this is what's got to happen. And here we are. So I'm going to bring in my co-host for today, Mr. Bruce Poppy. You know him from our Friday show. Mr. Poppy, how are you today?
Greetings and salutations, Robert. It's a pleasure always to hang out with you. Jacked up. What's going on here? This is the boiling point.
Yeah.
We have talked about before, I've mentioned the zit is about to pop on this, the federal thing versus state rights.
Did we really need that visual, Bruce?
You got to make it plain.
You got to make it
plain. This has been boiling up for a very, very long time. And
well, a lot of people are asking that same question. They're saying, why did it take 3 years for Abbott to turn the corner on this one, right? And, it's really, we already have 15 million plus in the country illegally. Many of them came through Texas, not all of them. Certainly a lot are coming through California and Arizona as well. But we have so many that have come in already. Why is it taking him so long? And that's the criticism that he's getting right now. I'm happy to see that something is being done. If he backs down tomorrow, we're back at square one again.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. It's a FAFO situation. That's where it comes down to. How far do the rights lawfully of the federal government and states' rights? Where do they start and stop? Is it?
It's pretty clear. The Constitution's pretty clear. I mean, Abbott laid it out there, right? It's pretty clear where they start and stop. The question then becomes, okay, so if he says no to the government's imposed deadline tomorrow, what does the government do next? What's their next move?
Quite honestly, I personally believe they don't have a move. They're all out of moves. Their only move is to enforce the laws. That's why Mayorkas, the leader of the Department of Human Smuggling, DHS up there, he's got to go. He's the one that's running this thing. And there's some history behind that guy. I don't want to get into that now, but he, involved in the Hebrew immigration stuff. And there's very, very deep connections that this guy has.
Yeah.
And we know Biden's not running the show, and we'll see what ends up happening. It's a boiling point. So.
It really is. There's so many ways to look at it, and we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, could you have a situation, playing this out a little bit? Could you have the regular enrolled military go up against the National Guard? That's a scenario we've heard. People have been talking about that as a possibility. I don't think the feds have the power to do it. The Border Patrol, they don't have the armament to be able to do that, but regular military would.
Because, the Border Patrol don't have F-6.
We're not even testing them. We're not even checking DNA, nothing. It's just they're coming in and they're just being basically let in. The door's wide open. So clearly intentional, not a mistake, not an error. And I think Americans are fed up, and I think we are turning the corner now and starting to say we've got to do something here. And, so it starts in Texas. We have a fellow with us today, a Texas trucker with us, who we should introduce and bring on to the show and find out what's going on down there, because he sees it firsthand. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the program.
How y'all doing today? Glad to be with y'all. It's an honor.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing down there.
Well, I'm from Northeast Texas, but I run Laredo, McAllen, Brownsville, a lot. And, I've seen a lot down there. I was down there a few weeks ago, and there's an unmarked helicopter flying around with a black cross on it. We couldn't figure out what it was. It was an Apache. Dropped a cable down out there in San Antonio, picked something up and left. Took pictures of it and shared it around. But I've been down through there and come up on the checkpoint here a while back there in on 281 North. That was the Border Patrol had about 12 illegal migrants on the side of the road in a van. this guy runs straight across the road in front of me. I almost hit him. I mean, and it was dark, pitch black. And so I pulled up to the checkpoint and told the officers, I said, look, guy just crossed in front of the road in front of me, and he run over into the median. So they took off. You know, here's the deal. I'm from Northeast Texas, y'all, and I live 90 miles from the Oklahoma border. Small rural community. I lived at all my life, and I'm not a spring chicken. So we got tent cities popping up here, man. It was 9 degrees the other day for 3 days. Out in the woods, tent cities popping up. You know, and I was worried about these people. You know, everybody wants to talk about the humanitarian thing to do. Well, the humanitarian thing to do is to close the border, you know, drug fentanyl. I mean, it would be humane to the people on both sides of the border. You know, I've been promoting the convoy and where we're going. I'm also the director for the Carrier Division of the National Owner Operators Association. So I've got my hands full, you know, but this is important. It's important to us in Texas. Me personally, as a Texan, I feel like we're under attack by the federal government. You know, I believe they want to change the voting demographic in Texas and turn it blue. And, you know, the way I look at things, if they can turn Texas blue by their nefarious activities, then, you know, where does that leave us? If Texas goes blue, then we'll never have a conservative form of government again. Right. We got 30 million people down here. 10 million illegals have come across in 3 years. You know, if they get voting rights, you know, we're going to be a blue state. And Texas is a big state. It makes up about 8% of the population of the United States of America. So if Texas falls, America goes blue. Socialist, I say communist. And then when America falls, what is that going to do to the rest of the world? So I feel like Texas is kind of the final frontier down here. You know what I mean? But we're standing up and we're being heard. You know, I'm not going to be quiet and fall into the abyss. We're going to do peacefully, but I'm not going to go quietly into the abyss. I'm going to speak out and continue to speak out. And we the people, are going to change this. You know, we've gotten support from all over the United States. It's pouring in, and all the way down in Australia. I've talked to Irish people, Ireland, that are behind us 100%. You know, this is what we're doing, man, and it's the right thing to do. That's the reason why it's being done, because it is the right thing. And I'll park it there, y'all. I got to deliver, so I need to jump out. But if you got any questions, I'll answer them.
Bruce?
No, he's just to give some credence to what he's saying. I mean, he's been around. He's promoting this thing hard. I've seen him on X and Spaces. You were involved in the People's Convoy, right? When we were going to DC as well.
No, sir. I at that time I was still a company driver. I just went actually independent in the last 2 years. So, no, I wasn't, but I was out there rooting. I was one of the ones out there with my hands up, and even the Canadian convoy and the Freedom Convoy, you know, I was, of course, we didn't have the ability then we got now to get the message out or to share, or because everything was so censored. But now with the platforms like they are now and the platforms we have the ability to reach out and touch the people and give them the truth, you know, instead of the propaganda that's being spewed by the people with doing the nefarious activities. You know, that it's been a very effective tool. And, you know, now what we need to know is we have the ability to use the tools and put out the truth to dispel the propaganda. And that's what I'm doing every day, man. This is an American thing, y'all. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Christian, Muslim, white, black, Hispanic, Asian. You know, this is America, y'all. We are America, and if we continue to go the route we're going, we will cease to be the America that we've always been. I've got 7 children from 6 to 32, and I want them to be able to live when I'm gone in the same America that I grew up in. And yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much. You're getting a lot of kudos in the chat room too. All right. Wow.
Thanks, Texas. We'll see you somewhere.
Yeah, I've really got to jump off, y'all, but I'll see y'all in Spaces noon Saturday. I understand we're going to have a free-for-all, so I'll see y'all there.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wow. It's really refreshing to have some input from someone who's actually there and seeing it in real life, because we hear a lot about it in the news, but it's very different when you're right there, right?
No, yeah, he's driving up and down that border all the time. Yeah, I mean, he's just one person. There's tons and tons and tons of stories outside of what he's saying. So yeah.
He said something really interesting, Bruce. He said that he can feel that there's a lot of support for the convoy, and the convoy is important. But I think what we're looking for is we're looking for somebody to organize what I call organize the frustration and the anger, right? And there's been nowhere to direct it. So now you've got a tool, and tool is the convoy to be able to do that. The protests, the rallies, however, whatever you want to call them, it gives people an outlet for that, because otherwise they just burn up inside with anger and you feel completely and totally helpless. And like he said, it's like, I'm there supporting. I'm got my arms in the air and I'm supporting, because we need that, and all of us will play a role at some level in what's going to happen with it next Saturday. Actually, starting Monday, right? Monday it starts, and then it rolls across the country.
Yeah. God bless America. Yeah, it's coming fast. Yeah, Monday leaves Virginia Beach, Virginia, in the morning, and then arriving. I think they're going to be doing some type of pep rally in North Carolina with the Mark Robinson. They're trying to get there, some couple hour thing.
Yeah.
And then ultimately meeting in Jacksonville that evening, like 9 or 10 o'clock Monday night. And that's where I'll be meeting up with them, coming from Tampa up to Jacksonville Monday evening. And then we're heading out Tuesday morning to head west. Baton Rouge, Louisiana is where our first stop will be overnight. Then we, go into Texas, Dripping Springs. There's an event in driving around the Capitol in Texas, Austin. Then there's some people are staying over for the event on Friday the 3rd in Texas, near Eagles Pass. But then I'll be leading the contingent of people that are going on from Texas to Arizona. We're going to stop over in Las Cruces, New Mexico, spend the night there, and then into Yuma on Friday evening around 5-6 o'clock. We'll be arriving in Yuma, Arizona for that rally. The big rallies happen on February 3rd. One in Eagle Pass, or near Eagle Pass, Texas, one in Yuma, Arizona, and the other in San Ysidro, California, all on February 3rd. So that's, if you can go to the website, takeourborderback.com, takeourborderback.com. All the information is there. That's the official place to get all the proper information concerning the convoy. And
it's being updated regularly too. So I've seen some changes from yesterday to today. There's always been some updates to the website.
Yep, I just before we came on here, I sent the email over, because today I was mapping out, since I'm leading the convoy from Dripping Springs to Yuma, mapping out the stop for the gas and our overnight stay in Las Cruces. So I sent all that over to the gal who updates the website just before we came on the air.
Yep. All right. I want to let everyone know about Lewis's website, screwbiggov.com. The reason that we're able to do what we do is because of Lewis, and he allows us to be on his channel, and he supports us wholeheartedly. It's just unbelievable how much support he gives us. So it's important that we go back and support him as well. That yin and yang energy is real important for all of us. So screwbiggov.com, you can find out everything that Lewis is up to there. And that swag, that you're getting a lot of good comments about that shirt, Bruce, in the chat room. They really, really love that shirt. I'm going to put you on camera in a minute. Hang on. He's doing a fashion show for me backstage here. So you can get it. That button in the middle at the bottom there says swag. That's where you'll find that, a link to that if you want to pick that up. And they are made, actually, Bruce makes them, I believe, and gets them out to you right away. So screwbiggov.com, that's where you want to go. And now, Bruce, show us that shirt.
Screw Big Gov, yeah. Just so clarification, I don't make these shirts. The shirts I make are the Remember Your Oath shirts. So I've made those, and my wife ships them out. They come out from our location here. So yeah, those are the only ones I make. These ones are made someplace else.
Thank you for that clarification. See, I'm giving you credit you don't even deserve. I mean,
I could have taken
you could have taken it to the bank. What are you doing, Bruce?
Right.
If you were to future pace the standoff in Texas, right? Let's just go 1 week forward. What do you believe is going to happen there?
I believe, but this is my viewpoint, unpopular as it might be.
That's what we're asking for. We want to know where Bruce is on
Yeah.
this topic.
I believe there's going to be a lot of blustery, media, tit for tat type stuff as the authority to do what he wants to do. There's very limited area and space that is technically allowed to be federally controlled. And so this is this pissing contest. And then the other thing to think about, the other trump card, if you will, in the back pocket of Governor Abbott is, so, okay, let's say, for example, that Biden is able to somehow wrestle control of the National Guard and make them do his bidding to allow all this happen.
Oh, I'm so glad you're going here. This is exactly where I wanted to go. Perfect. You read my mind.
And so Governor Abbott he has the authority as governor to raise a militia. He can deputize, sheriffs, and, he can raise up a people's army. They're a militia, a legal, constitutional militia to protect Texas. I don't see it being a brother on brother, National Guard against Border Patrol or National Guard against. I just don't see that happening. I tend to land on the side that the National Guard, the higher ups, that because everything's compartmentalized in that military situation, so that the higher ups are going to send federal troops in there to arrest the National Guard, and this could end up. I don't think it's going to get crazy, but it's going to seem like it is. This could be, the tipping point for getting some law and order in the country. Bringing back some justice, because there is no justice in the Justice Department. We know that.
So now we bring up the Derek Johnson thing, where he said the National Guard is federalized, and if that is true, and if Trump is not your commander-in-chief, then Biden would theoretically have control over the National Guard, and he can order them to stand down.
Right. And then there's also, there is certain rules concerning the nationalization or federalization of National Guard, because those are typically state situations.
State run. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if there has to be some predicate for that, and it could, just spitballing, just throwing ideas out there, they could, how they federalize and, do the shell game that they do. It's always been a smoke and mirror situation with the federal government.
Well, Derek is not wrong about that, because if the National Guard has been federalized, they're serving outside of their state. And we've been seeing this for the last 3 years. We've been seeing them go overseas even. Actually, there was a guy who worked at the bank here who was in the National Guard, and all of a sudden he found himself going to Poland. I was like, wait a minute, I'm in the National Guard. I'm not supposed to serve outside of California. Off to Poland. This was about 2 years ago. So I believe Derek is right about that. The National Guard has been federalized. That's the only way they could be used outside of their state that they're based in.
Right. And if you look back you do the research and do the reading, I mean, that was one of the things that Derek said early on the Truth Tour when we first met, started hanging out, was, hashtag make reading great again. Because everybody just wants to hear, have their ears tickled. They want somebody else to do the work. Go read the executive orders that are still in place. They have not been rescinded by the Biden, and then they have been extended as well, some of these executive orders. And then you look at, just look at Derek's information. Go and read I think it's mydocuments.info or something, the website. It's all .mil and .gov websites that he brings his information off. He just doesn't pull this stuff out of his butt. So these are, federal, government websites that he gets this information along with executive orders, and then monitoring and seeing, some of the flight patterns and other things going on. Everything makes sense to what, the federal guard or the National Guard being federalized before the 2021 inauguration.
Okay. So in Fulford's newsletter this week,
service.
So in Benjamin Fulford's newsletter this week, he has sources that are telling him that a lot of this stuff is going to go down, and we're going to start to see this confrontation really accelerate by the 27th, which is 2 days from now, which is Saturday. It's possible now, because we're seeing this deadline tomorrow. It's possible that this thing escalates and goes to the next level, whatever that may look like.
Well, there was a deadline that the Biden administration gave them a couple of weeks back or something, that they were, once they took over Eagle Pass, that park.
Yep.
I can't remember the name of the park, but it's in the park in Eagle Pass. When the National Guard kicked the feds out and blocked them in from getting in, you need to give us back that park, or else. And then so Abbott then said, "Fork you. This is what we're doing." And so they had that court thing, and everybody got their panties all in the wad
Supreme
about
Court.
the court thing.
Right.
Yeah, the Supreme Court, the 5-4 decision. Throwing all these other people under the bus. We know that they're probably captured operation, but
it was also a very narrow question that they were dealing with,
yes,
right? Does the federal government have the right to cut the razor wire? Yes or no? And they said, yeah, they do. But it didn't go into
all it was about. Had zero to do with whether or not Texas had the right and/or authority to protect its border. It was all about the razor wire, and then the feds made the argument that it's about a safety issue. If somebody's coming across the river illegally and they start to drown, the razor wire is preventing the feds or whoever from going and saving these people. That was their argument, and the justices sided with them on that particular argument. It had nothing to do with whether or not Texas has the right and/or authority to defend its own border
Correct.
from an invasion.
Yep. And it didn't say anything about them.
That battle is still to come.
Yeah, and it didn't say anything about them adding more razor wire. So they've been doing that too. They've been pushing a lot more razor wire out there because there's nothing in there that says they can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
The feds spend all their time cutting razor wire. I mean, that's
well, there's so much of it now. If you saw some of the images, some of the videos that are coming
God.
out, I mean, it's layer and layer and layer. It's like there's no way you're cutting through some of that stuff without getting injured. You know.
And that stuff is nasty stuff. I don't know if anybody's had any experience with that up close and personal. That shit's no joke.
No. No, and they have been arresting them. So we have seen some of these crossers getting arrested. National Guard has been putting zip ties around their wrists and arresting them and sending them off. Eventually, they're going to go over to ICE, and ICE has been directed not to deport anybody. So
it's
it's
like I said, it's smoke and mirrors. I've seen videos of the National Guard actually lifting razor wire up, helping people in.
And then we heard those videos were not true. That was actually the feds dressed as National Guard, and that we mistook them for who they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, nobody knows it unless you're down there and you're seeing it and you're participating in it. That's why so many.
And even if you're seeing it, Bruce, you don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, the people that are right there, you don't know what the truth is, who's behind those uniforms for sure.
Yep.
But there's a gal on X that's down there videotaping stuff all the time. She's broken some pretty good stuff. Her name is April Sparks. April Sparks on X. Oreo Express. I met him when I was on the People's Convoy. He was, he's a live streamer. He's down there doing stuff. Michael Yon, he's still one of the fantastic people down in the Darien Gap, and Ann Vandersteel showing the land bridge that they're making down there. I mean, so there's lots of people out there exposing and showing stuff. But at the same time, I think it was recently Nino went down there with Ron Pertain, some guy near El Paso, and there wasn't a lot going on. It didn't seem, so it depends on where you're at.
Right.
But it's definitely a problem.
It's interesting because we're getting so many different stories, and obviously we got to always remember that we are in an information war and right. So we get stuff and we think, wow, that's exactly what's going on down there, and you get all in the bandwagon and say, this is the one, this is it. And then a day or two goes by and you realize, well, that really wasn't what it said it was going to be, or what they said it was. And it turns out that video is from a year ago. It was from the border, Ukraine. It was from our border. It was so you start to uncover these things. And one of the things you'll see on X a lot is when a video like that comes out that is sensational, everybody shares it. And because you see it 50 times, you think, well, it's got to be true.
Right.
And then you dig into it a little bit.
You can pick up on that stuff. I've seen it as well. I spent a lot of time on there recently.
Yep.
I mean, there's people sharing videos of, they're talking about Convoy, and they're showing pictures of the People's Convoy from 2 years ago.
Yep.
Driving through, and they're saying, they're coming to Texas, they're coming to save us, and it's just old video.
Yep.
So
there's no videos of a convoy that hasn't started yet.
Right.
Let's just be honest about it, right? It's coming. Not there yet, but it's coming.
That was, it's true. It's coming. We are coming. We, the people, are coming in a peaceful assembly along I-10. I mean, that's the thing. The location, our routes are put on the website. You can see the routes. And just so anybody's, fearful, I know in my Rumble chat, somebody, A and B said, Bruce, go on X. They think this group is feds. And that can be nothing farther from the truth. Where it's a God thing. It was, put together by a handful of people. The core group, I've been in communication with them, working with them, helping them. And so this is not a, what do they call that, Patriot Front, those guys in khakis and masks. This is not that. This is real we the people, taking, up our constitutional rights to peacefully assemble and redress our grievances against our government.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is the whole purpose for this whole thing. Knowing the people behind the scenes, there's nothing in this about and I've seen that comment many times before on X. It's another J6 thing. They're setting us up. We're all going to end up in jail. That's a bunch of crap. I mean, they've chosen these locations pretty specifically, been in communication with sheriffs and authorities in those areas. We have their backing. We have their support. So, I mean, being in Lewis's, told many, many times, the difference between the 10 square miles of D.C. and out here in the rest of the country. So there's that situation as well.
You want to introduce our guest who's just joined us in our backstage here?
All right. Yes.
All right. You do it. You get to do it.
Yeah. So this person, she's got a radio show of her own. Take your power back. She's all about the positive. Bringing helping people get through life. But she's also one of the key people behind the scenes that are help putting this together. And so she's a warrior, warrior for God, warrior for we the people, warrior in general. Just a general badass woman. And I love her glasses. So please help me welcome in here, the lovely Miss Kim Yeater.
Hello, Bobby. It's so good to see you. An absolute honor just to be here with you guys. And what a time to be alive. Isn't it the most amazing time to be alive? I remember being a little girl, and I know every single one of your listeners, and you guys remember when we were kids, and we knew, we would see these superhero movies, and we would see all these cool movies of, the good guy winning in the end. And we all thought, wow, maybe someday we'll be that superhero. Maybe someday we can do something really big and make a really big difference. Well, I kid you not, we have all been chosen for this time. We, the people, have been chosen to stand up, speak up. And I'll tell you what, our steering committee, we are just here to hold the arms up of we the people. They are the warriors, the influencers, those standing up and speaking up, the mamas and the papas in the schools. We have been fighting for so long. It's now time for us to take this border back, take our country back, and hold our elected officials accountable to literally listening to we the people. We get to take our power back, and we get to live by the Constitution.
Amen to that, for sure. So I know you and the steering committee have been busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest over the past few days. This thing is just going crazy all over the place. I mean, Colonel Peters being on InfoWars,
Yes.
Newsmax, OAN. There's I heard a rumor. And I don't know if you can verify this or not, but the Colonel Peters or somebody from the steering committee may be going on with Tucker.
Well, guess what? So I just did an interview. I have a show on Mike Lindell's platform on Frank's Speech. So right before the Tucker interview with Dr. Lieutenant Colonel Pete Chambers, I had him on my show with Scotty Sachs Sovereign Radio from our steering committee. So he was heading over, as far as I know, to Tucker Carlson. So I'll tell you, we have senators reaching out to us. We have people that have been fighting the good fight from the inside. They see what we, the people, are doing. And they're like, whatever we need to do. We've got a senator that's on Fox tomorrow. He's on Fox representing the convoy tomorrow. This is when you go, God, wow, when we're obedient, when we step into whose we are and live in the purpose you've called us to, you say we will do even greater things than you. Oh, wow. We get to be part of this. How incredible is that?
Oh, I know. I'm just getting goosebumps all over. Some of the, I mean, I've been around too, on X and just sharing, and so many people I'm seeing sharing this, the flyer and the information. I saw today, Laura Logan, shared out. She was complaining, how come Facebook is, banning this or censoring this or whatever? Juanita Broderick, many other people with huge accounts on X are just sharing this out all over the place. So when you guys came up with this, when it was initially Mark Anthony and Jonathan Alexander of Live Border News, right? They kind of had this little.
No, you want the real story? Do you want the real story?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the real story. Okay.
The inside scoop.
This is the inside scoop. It all started with a dream. No joke. God was working on every single one of us in the wee hours of the night. God was working on all of us, just like he's been working on every freedom-loving American. And I had this dream, and I remember this dream was about a year ago, and God showed me the expanse of the entire sky. And I was standing there and looking at all the stars in the dark of the night. And I saw from west to east what came over the sky in an arc. Well, it looked almost like a missile. It was this bright yellow, came all the way across, but it was silent. And it hit the west and went like a giant explosion, but there was no sound. Children have got to be rescued, right? People are being, like, everything that's happening, the fentanyl crisis, 160 different countries entering this border, men of fighting age, all that stuff's happening. So the next day, I was at the border. I was at the border. That picture that you see behind me is a picture that I took. I took that picture on the border. Okay. I was with Mark. I was with Jonathan Alexander. I was with a couple of people. Our hearts were so moved being on that border and seeing what we saw that day, empty baby strollers, baby diapers. We saw the illegal immigrants. We saw people coming from Africa who were working for the United States Embassy, who made that crossover. They were translating for them. Okay. We knew something was so wrong. When we got back to land, Mark was on Jonathan's show. Within minutes on Jonathan's show, it spurts out, we're going to do this convoy. And February 3rd, Mark gets on the phone with me, and Mark's like, Kim, I was just on Jonathan's show, and it just kind of came out, like everything we're doing and all we've been talking about. And like, I just feel like God's like, it's this time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Mark, the shot hurt. Like, we had these conversations, and then God said, go. We started bringing the people in, and Robert Agee, Border, if you know freedom, Borders for Freedom, right?
Banners,
Banners for freedom, borders for freedom. You like that? That's like a borders for freedom. We need to create a whole
Freudian slip, but yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got Noelle Roberts, Patriot Mom 007, Scotty Sachs. I work closely with Sovereign Radio. I love these guys. We're syndicating under Sovereign Radio with my Take Your Power Back show, and Mark Istertalk. We all got together, and God did something incredible. He opened up every door. And when God begins to open the doors, it takes the steps of faith. Faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. That is what our forefathers were commended for. Come on, 100 years before it rained, Noah's building an ark for reals? Are you kidding me? But that's what it took. God knew the heart of each of us. It was about pleasing him, being obedient to him, being his hands, being his feet, right? Having the mind of Christ, being responsible for what he's given us, being the shows that we have. And that's how it began. So each person brought a key ingredient to it. But really, God was showing us that we are we are holding up the hands of we the people. It's not about us. It's about all of us for such a time as this.
Amen to that. I mean, that's one of the things I love, since Mark asked me to come to Yuma, getting to know some of the other people, because I've met you in San Diego and, other things. I know Scotty from other stuff, but just the unity. There is no there is no selfishness. The core
Right.
team that's put this together it is a complete God thing because there's no ego, there's no anybody
Selfish gain.
exactly the ego stuff. But because knowing some of the stuff I know in the past,
Yeah.
taking this action now,
Yes.
taking the steps that you're listening to that still small voice, and people have experience in the past. I have experience on the People's Convoy. People still reeling about January. So if people are maybe not sure or uncertain whether or not they can
Sure.
participate out of fear, what would you say to those people?
Oh, that's a really great question. That's really important. So this is twofold. One, the Bible says there's no fear in love. Perfect love drives out fear. Fear has to do with punishment, right? So when we're afraid of some type of punishment, and we're not made perfect in love. God is refining us because he is the source of love. But we really have nothing to be afraid of. You see, if you think of Washington, D.C. with the J6ers, they were on a whole other country of itself. People don't realize that. So it's a whole other set of laws. We're out here in America. We're in the wild, wild west, okay? So we're going to do what we do in the wild west, but we're going to do it peacefully and we're going to do it lawfully. We have eyes on this event. I'll tell you what, Mark is amazing. Our team, I am so blessed to get to work with these guys. They are extraordinary. What Mark brings to the table in the level of security, even our local law enforcement, they have eyes on this. We have eyes on this so that we will be safe to lawfully and peacefully assemble. And you know what? I want to read this to every single one of us because I think we need to be reminded, Poppy, our freedom of speech, right? Amendment 1, the freedom of religion, speech, and the press. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Well, we have a redress of grievances. Do you know why we have a redress of grievances? Just like Abbott put the letter out there. If you haven't seen it on Twitter, he is calling our government accountable. And we have been standing in this from the beginning. Article 4, Section 4, it's an absolute breach of our nation's security. The United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a republic form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. And on application of the legislature or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. Listen, we are being invaded. Every state should be protected right now. Abbott has had to take it into his own hands. And I'll tell you what people don't realize is this. I want people to get the big picture here. When Abbott asked the sheriff, I want you to deputize your men. Deputize your men. We got to get this border closed. We are being overrun, right? We got to close this border. Do you know the Department of Homeland Security came in and do you know what they said? You deputize those guys, we'll take your federal funding away from you. Do we see why our sheriffs should not be federally funded? Okay. We've got to stand up right now. If not now, then when? It's imperative.
Absolutely imperative. I mean, that's been the biggest thing that they have pulled the wool over our eyes on from the very inception of our country. The federal government was created by the states as a helper and has a very limited role in what their purpose and function is. And over time, they have obfuscated, stolen, and brainwashed MK Ultra, whatever you want to call it, to think that the federal government is our overlords, that they control everything. And that's just not the case. And now is the time, and we are the ones to be able to stand up and say, hell no, no more.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
100%. And, and people ask us, Poppy, they go, why are you doing this? Like, really? Yes, we know crisis, the kids being trafficked, vets not having homes because they're being pushed out of 160 different countries, even Venezuela's prisoners entering our country. People have seen videos, you'll see, of the immigrants who are illegal immigrants saying, oh, you'll see soon enough while I'm here. Listen, Our Border Patrol people are telling us, I hope you're ready, America. Our National Guard high intel is telling us there likely is going to be a war at the border, and then the cells in the United States cities will be ignited. So why are we doing this? What's our mission? Our mission is to shine a spotlight on open borders, educate Americans of the imminent dangers right now to all of America. It's to send a message to all local, state, and federal politicians and law enforcement who have enabled the invasion of America with open borders. It's to introduce solutions to the open borders and to stop the bleeding. We got to stop the bleeding, including a safe deportation of those who've entered our country during this open border period. It's to hold every official accountable to keeping the border closed and sending those guys back. We got to come up with a plan of action, but most importantly, the bleeding's got to stop. The border's got to close. You don't have a nation, Poppy, if you've got open borders. Do you know in the Bible? I mean, listen, history repeats itself. If we look back at history, when the Israelites were taken captive by Babylon, do you know that they were all given new names and had to learn new languages? Their identities of who they were and their values, all of that was being stolen from them. They were being silenced. Do we not think that is happening to us today?
100% it is.
It is. And history teaches wisdom applies the learnings from history. This isn't about having all the knowledge. You know, you cannot fight a spiritual war with physical weapons. Mm-hmm. We're in a spiritual war, and if y'all don't know, we've already won. We've already won. It's a matter of us stepping in.
Absolutely. We just got to take some and stand up, right? Absolutely, It is. You know, and you talked about history going even back, even more recent history.
Yeah.
This has been a kind of a template. They've been running this operation over in Europe for a while now. You know, with all the getting rid of the borders, the EU. You know, there's no you don't need, you can just travel anywhere you want. All the massive alleged refugees, you know, from these other countries. And you can see it just it's happening, popping off in Ireland and England and what was the other place? France, all these different places from the illegal immigration that's happening, and that's what's going to happen here.
100%.
We have been shielded. That's part of the thing. Part of the frustration of here in America is because the propaganda media, the legacy media, their bullhorn is so loud that we have been shielded from the truth of this type of situation for so very long. And it's getting to a point where they can't even hide it anymore. They have to acknowledge it. And when thousands, tens upon thousands of us descend in a peaceful assembly on the border next week, then some more eyes are going to be open, and they're going to have to take notice and listen to us, or else, you know, I don't know what the other, you know, we need to start throwing off.
You're right, Bruce. Really, we've been just too quiet for too long, and now
come on, Robert.
The frustration is certainly built to a point where we've got to do something, and now would be as good a time as any to step up and at least make your voices heard. I mean, you know, it may not solve the issue for sure, but certainly if we do nothing, we know it's going to continue. So the question then becomes, you know, I'm seeing it in the chat here too. It's like people are afraid. They're afraid it's going to be another January 6th, and that, you know, the truth of the matter is, if you look at January 6th, even as you know, people are in jail and all the rest of that, there were 2 million people there. 2 million. There's roughly 1,500 that were arrested.
Yeah.
It's a very, very small percentage. Very small percentage. So I'm not expecting that here. There's not going to be that kind of thing. This is not Washington, D.C. We're going to be on public roads. They're going to be in public spaces, public parks.
Obeying the laws.
That kind of thing.
Obeying the laws, yeah.
Obeying the laws and you know, playing by the rules, if you will, and there'll be no reason. Now, you know, there's going to be instigators in every crowd. There always is, and we have to keep our eyes open for that. And when we spot them, you know, we didn't probably do the greatest job of that January 6th because we didn't expect it. But now that we do, I think we're a lot smarter, and we could jump in and do something here to stop it before it gets too big. What do you think,
Yes.
Kim?
And Robert, I think one thing that's really, really important is we do have eyes on this and we have attorneys working with us. We will not put up with any crap. It's that simple. We will not be fighting. We're going to stand and we're going to do the right kind of fighting, but we will not be violent. We will not
Yep.
put up with any of that at all. The attorneys will deal harshly with those people.
Good to hear. All right.
After they're removed from security, zero tolerance for shenanigans.
Zero tolerance, period.
So let's make sure we have the website correct. Bruce, what's the
Yeah.
website you want to send them to?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, it's takeourborderback.com. So takeourborderback.com. And people, if you can't go, we want you to be with us. The rallies are going to be extraordinary. I mean, we've got, Bannon's Lady No Grady coming out. She'll be performing her song Holy War. That's in Yuma as well as in San Ysidro. We also have Tom Kaz. Tom Kaz, outlaw in the USA. He is awesome. And then we've got even Navy singers that are going to be singing the national anthem. Separate people 6 foot apart. Okay. There's something powerful when the people come together as one, unified. That is what we're going to do. We're going to stand as long as it takes. If we need to come back over and over to take this border back and to take our country back, then we, the people, will do that.
Outstanding. Awesome.
Another little distinction to make as well is this is nonpartisan. I mean, this isn't going to turn into some type of Trump rally or MAGA thing. I mean, regardless of your political affiliation, you can see, just look at what's going on in New York, the sanctuary cities, Mr. Eric Adams up there, sanctuary city, come, bring us your, whatever the latest Statue of Liberty says. And then they start sending him there and he's like, no, stop, no mas, we can't handle it anymore. Now, people going door to door looking for food up there.
Yeah.
Having kids be remote learning so they can house them in schools. I mean, this, just because it's in Texas and Arizona and California, these rallies, every single state, every single city, every single county is a border county currently in the United States.
It's a border town, no question.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm going to throw this out there. We're updating that site daily. So people, please go to that site. All the information you need is there. And if people need further information that the site isn't providing yet, sometimes we're purposeful by not providing that information for security purposes. But you can also email us at wethepeople@takeourborderback.com. wethepeople@takeourborderback.com. And if there's press that they want to have any of the core steering committee on their show to bring the information about Take Our Border Back, they can go to takeourborderback@yahoo.com. That's takeourborderback@yahoo.com. And then last but not least, if you can't come, but you're like, I really want to help, you can absolutely serve. Every little bit counts. It could be $1, it could be $2, it could be $10, it could be $100. And that doesn't go to us. Do you know that we specifically have a trust set? Because we learned from the Canadian truckers that they shut their money down. We have a trust set to protect the money. It directly goes to the border. Once that all of this Take Our Border Back, people can go to givesendgo.com/take our border back. Givesendgo.com/take our border back. Once we've taken our border back and there's any additional money, do you know where that money goes, Bobby? Domestic violence shelter, the San Diego Rescue Mission, Silent Voices, places in Arizona, places in Texas that are specifically helping those in need. I'm not going to see that money. None of the steering committee is. We've been doing this 16 hours a day, volunteer, because it's time, America, that we take our border back, we take our country back, and we stand in our God-given sovereignty and power. That's for you.
Thank you so much, Kim.
And just so everybody knows, too, that website, there's a link. You don't go to Gifts and Go. You can go to the website, takeourborderback.com. There's a link there to donate. And just so you know, that place is the only official place to donate. If there's anybody else out there that's saying, oh, I'm collecting donations for the border thing, they're a bunch of liars and thieves. they're not representing the Take Our Border Back Convoy, core steering team, or our cause. They're so just watch out for that, because there is a lot of shysters, there's a lot of grifters. So this website is the only place to go and give donations that it's going to go where it needs to go.
Perfect.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Kim.
So
we
much.
Appreciate you. All right.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. An incredible show. Love you guys. God bless you.
God bless you too.
this country.
Just a quick message. I did email all that stuff that I texted you earlier to Noelle.
Yes.
So she's on that.
Yes. So awesome. Boppy, we're so grateful to have you. We couldn't do this without you. So thank you.
It's a team effort. There is no me.
It's a team effort. It's we. Come on. Come on.
How true. How true. Thank you, Kim. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yep. We'll have you back. Bruce.
I look forward to it.
Bruce, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
When you're looking at what you're going to do streaming wise, because people are asking about that and they want to know, are they going to be able to see video from the event? I know you're going to be there. Give us a little insight into what you're planning.
Well, so they have the Take Our Border Back people have multiple X accounts and a Rumble channel. The Take Our Border Back is the Rumble channel. Now you can go to that website. All the links for their social media stuff. They got a Telegram channel. There's a Discord thing. I'm not a real big Discord guy, but they got on X. They have for each location, the Texas location. They got it's an X account for the Texas location, X account for the Arizona location, and one for the California location. But we're going to be live streaming to these multiple locations, and how it's going to work, because the rally's on February 3rd in San Diego, California. They're doing a rally 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. ish, and then they're jumping in the vehicles and they're coming to Yuma. So they're going to stream that when they go to Yuma. And then they're having the rally in Texas as well. Texas is just too far to bring everybody in one location. So what the plan is as different speakers come up. Let's say there's a speaker in Yuma, that person will be highlighted. There's going to be somebody behind the scenes, producing and sending the stream. So if somebody's speaking in Yuma, then they're just going to show a blank, or not a blank, but just a background shot of Texas. And so when that person's done, then Texas is going to step up and they're going to have the speaker, and it'll just be the background shot. So they're going to be taking turns, speaking. So it'll be one stream, but you'll be able to see multiple locations within that one stream,
Nice.
on
Nice.
Rumble and or X.
Almost like television production.
It's on a Fisher Price budget, yeah.
The Fisher Price. I love it. I love it.
doing the best we can with what we have. I mean, we were not a multi-million-dollar. We don't have Fox, satellite trucks and all that shit. But even during the convoy, as we're traveling from place to place, there will be streams. There is going to be somebody, behind the scenes. They're, camped out at a base somewhere, putting these streams out onto the Rumble channel. I don't know if there's going to be timing. All that stuff hasn't been finalized, because as we're traveling, there's going to be obviously some internet issues. Anybody who's traveled, along I-10, knows you get in some, areas and you just don't have a signal. So depending upon our signal as we're traveling, we'll be able to live stream on the road. As we stop in Baton Rouge, they're probably going to be streaming some little pep rally there, the Dripping Springs event, and then they're probably going to be doing some live streaming from Las Cruces, where we're traveling from Dripping Springs to Yuma. The overnight stay there is in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So we'll probably be live streaming some little pep rally we're going to be doing in the parking lot there. So there's tons of streaming available. All the social links for the convoy are on takeourborderback.com. That is the one-stop location for everything.
Cool.
The donations, the socials, the maps, the scheduling of events, all that stuff is. So you want to go there, bookmark it, go there frequently and often, and see how you can participate. I mean, everybody can participate. You can pray. We need that. That's hugely important. You can, if you can't make it in person, you can, make a small donation. Anything helps. You can take the flyer that's on the website that we, share out all the time. You've seen that flyer, and share that. You can go to the website on the flyer area, right-click it. You can save that image, and then you can share that all over your social media. We just need to flood it. flood. I mean, I've seen it everywhere. I've been even posting it on Gab and Getter, all these different every place that we can post, get this information out because this is going to be huge.
You're obviously excited because I can't get you to stop. You just go.
I'm jacked up. I mean, and the excite is this is the frustration like we've talked about in the past. It's been building up. We see all this stuff. We know the evidence of all the corruption and this and that and the other. What can we do? How can we make a difference? We're looking for some outlet for us to be able to peacefully make our voices heard as we the people to stand up. The media is lying or hiding all the stuff that's going on in Germany with the farmers and France and the farmers and all that. They're hiding all that from you. But if you see some
not
of those
here,
videos,
we talked about it on yesterday's show in great detail that it's real important that it's a sign that it's time. The tide is turning now. People are starting to step up. We've seen it in many countries. We have not yet seen it here. So we're looking forward to this being a catalyst to start that process. Whether or not this is the end all be all, probably not. It's probably just the beginning. I think what happened in Canada was kind of interesting this week when it came out that they were the government had no right to break up that convoy. They were doing exactly following the law, following the letter of the law. They were allowed to do what they were doing. And, I think America now we're kind of waking up to that and saying, the government's overstepping. And it's now time that if we don't push back, it's going to, we won't have the country anymore. We are at a point where we have a tyrannical government. We have a government that is no longer of the people, by the people, or for the people. It's against the people. And we don't know who these people are who are running it. They're not who they say they are, clearly. And you start to look at these quote unquote leaders we have, and you can't have faith in them. You can't believe anything they say. They lie through their teeth. How are we going to go after the people who stole the election? The Fannie Willises of the world, the Alvin Braggs of the world, the people who are bringing suits against our president that are frivolous, if nothing else, and really causing all kinds of problems there. So, we got to look at this and we got to say, okay, it sounds like there's a lot. But here's the thing. How you eat the elephant is one little bite at a time. This convoy is the first bite, right? This is the first bite. Is it everything? No, but it's the first bite. And it'll start moving us in the right direction. If it does nothing to change what's going on at the border, it will raise awareness to a very high level because it will get covered. Not just in alternate media. Mainstream media will at some point have to say something about it. And they'll call us kooks and crazy white right-wingers. They'll do that. We get that. We're expecting that. But I think enough people are awake now and they're recognizing what's going on because the border crisis isn't about the border anymore. It's in every city. Right?
Yes, 100%.
Yep.
And this is, you gotta draw a line in the sand somewhere, right? We have been taking it, and we've had the patience of Job. And this peaceful assembly of we the people to make our voices heard, we're saying, no, this is enough is enough. This has to stop. Either we have a country or we don't.
Correct.
Whether or not
And by the way, folks, it is literally that black and white. We are very close to losing the republic that we've enjoyed for so many years. I mean, once we lose the power to vote, that is our lever. And when they pull that lever away, which it appears they certainly have, we have no power anymore. Now they're going to put in the leaders they want to put in. Look at what's going on in Canada. Canada is so close to communism now. It's crazy. And the people there are completely indoctrinated. I know, I have family there, right? I grew up in Canada, in Montreal. So I know. And I can hear it in their voices. I can hear it in what they're saying. They're not happy. They're really not happy. Everything that's going on up there is just, it's just a precursor to what we will have here if we say nothing. So this show is about that. This show is about helping you really understand the news and understand it from maybe a different perspective than other people are giving you. We want to kind of bring that to you. Today, we talked a lot about the border convoy. We had Bruce on board and Kim and our Texas trucker. We were going to have some other people on board, but they weren't able to make it. It was supposed to be a bigger round table, but okay, it worked out really well. So I really appreciate that. So before we go, I want to just do a little quick commercial here because we have to keep the lights on, right, Bruce?
We do.
We go. You got your spray?
I know where you're going.
Oh, yeah, he's going to spray. There we go. Hey, we both do it. Look at this. Woohoo, we're the spray twins. Gotta love it. Look at this lady here. Amazing results. I started the swish and the spray twice a day. 65 years old and just getting better. Look at her. Just what happened in less than a year. Like about 8 months there, it looks like. About 8 months, yeah. Pretty incredible how it changes the complexion. So the spray does something really neat. It's a glutathione spray, and what it does for your skin, it lightens and brightens your skin, tightens up those wrinkles, and certainly diminishes age spots, dark spots, liver spots, that kind of thing. So they're less apparent. A lot of ladies are saying, you know what? I can go without makeup now, which is really fantastic because we know makeup is not necessarily non-toxic. There's a lot of stuff in makeup. By the way, chemicals that they use in makeup don't have to be approved by the FDA. Although they're right on your skin and they're absorbed by your skin, they don't have to go through the same testing and approval process that food does because it's not considered food. So you got to be careful with the makeup. If you can get away with less is more, that's the one. And she's talking about swishing. That's the Neumi swish. This is NutraSwish. This is really, really good. Glutathione, nanoparticleized glutathione. Put it in your mouth, swish it around, goes right under the tongue, right into the bloodstream, bypassing the digestive system. So it goes right to work, helping your liver do what? Detox and deal with oxidative stress. So where do you go get it? I'm going to tell you. You go over here, renegademedia.tv/energy, renegademedia.tv/energy. And good news, ladies, hers is back in stock. So they have it again. Now it's available once again. And the ladies were asking, I want it. Well, you know, Bruce, you can't sell your bottle for $1,000 anymore. They got it back.
Bless America. I was looking for some gas money to get to you.
God bless capitalism. I know how it is. And I just want to mention, too, if you have pets, Lewis says this is the best thing ever. And I didn't believe him at first, but then I tried it with my cat. And oh, my God, sbgpets.com, the best pet food you can feed your cat, full of nutrition and full of a very specific mushroom that actually cures them of what ails them. Think the C word, my friends. Think the C word. And they also have stuff for humans there, which is phenomenal as well.
Well, the mushroom doesn't do any curing. The mushroom, it boosts and modulates the immune system so the immune system can do its job.
Right.
So it's very, very important to make that distinction.
Very, very good stuff.
I concur.
Bruce and I will be back tomorrow. And people are asking, where's Lewis? Where's Lewis? Lewis is on his way back into a space where there's internet, so he will be back. Actually, this Saturday, we're going to do a live stream. I think it's about 6 hours in support of the border convoy. So it's kind of a pre-kickoff, if you will. And we're going to have some amazing guests. Actually, there's no defined schedule. I was talking to Denise this morning, Denise Bliss Phillips, about this, and she says, well, there's no defined schedule. It's kind of going to be a 6-hour roundtable. It's going to be really interesting because I'm going to be behind the scenes producing. I'll be co-hosting a little bit and helping out with all of that. So that's this Saturday starting at, I believe, was it 9 a.m. Pacific? So it's 12 noon Eastern?
Correct.
Yeah. And it'll run for
I'll
roughly...
be participating as well, yeah.
Yep, yeah, Bruce will be there as well. And Lewis will be part of it. He'll be popping in at some point, depending on his schedule. We don't know what time he's going to be able to pop in. But Lewis and I will be back on Monday for our regularly scheduled SBG News. And Lewis has got some really good interviews lined up for our Tuesday show. So he was filling me in about that this morning. People I don't know. I'm always excited about people we don't know because I get to learn and meet new people. Always fun. Bruce, what are we going to do tomorrow? What's going to be fun tomorrow about unraveling the news?
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Top 10 list. My favorite thing is the top 10 list. I'd love to start with that.
Terrible top 10 list.
Yep.
That's always fun and informative. We'll probably break down some of the Canadian, stuff that's going on. The court, ruling. That was a big deal. They're still, the World Economic Forum ended, in Davos, but the World Health Organization is still pushing headlong for that.
These things are going to pop. It's like the popcorn. Remember Jiffy Pop? Right? Remember that aluminum thing, a little pan you'd have on the stove? I'm not aging myself. We used to have that as kids. God, eating out of aluminum. Boy, we had no idea. Yeah, and putting it on the stove and shaking it and like, oh boy, those popcorn kernels are so covered in aluminum by the time that thing popped.
Alzheimer's much?
Yeah, so you look at that and you say, how does popcorn pop? Well, they all heat up. The heat builds, the pressure builds, and then pop. And then what happens? Then it's pop, 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 and then they start going crazy, right? That's where we are. The first kernels, I think, are going to pop with this convoy. I really believe that that's where we're at. We will cover if there's any break in the government's deadline tomorrow. Is Abbott going to back down?
No.
This is almost like as the border turns.
Yeah.
Stay tuned next time when we find out what Greg Abbott will do next. Right?
I believe he's legally and constitutionally on the right path.
Oh, he has. The Constitution's clear. Yeah.
The Biden administration is pissing in the wind.
But it doesn't mean he won't back down. The pressure's going up right now, right? The heat is boiling, so we're going to see what he's going to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is his defining moment. If he backs down, he's done politically.
Oh, yeah.
If he doesn't back down, he'll be a hero and there'll be statues built around him. You know what I mean? So
right.
We're going to see. We'll keep an eye on it for you.
And we'll be digging into, I just heard a blurb earlier that the Republican, the national or RNC, right? Ronna McDaniel and those guys, they're putting together or proposing some type of resolution that makes Trump the presumptive nominee,
right?
Regardless of what Nikki Haley, if she continues on, she's just pissing in the wind as well.
Yeah. Her funding's been pulled. So Reid Hoffman pulled the funding from that he was funding her. So yeah, that whole thing's falling apart, and it doesn't make sense not to declare Trump the presumptive winner at this point. Josh Hawley was talking about that earlier today too. He was stopped in the halls of Congress there, and he was talking about it, and he says it doesn't make any sense. There is no path forward for Nikki Haley other than collecting money and building name recognition, which I told you is a scary thing because if they are able to get a conviction on Donald Trump, he would not legally be able to run for president. Then they'd have to remove him. And then who's the second in line? Well, it would be Nikki Haley. That would be their choice.
I just hope she hangs out to be able to get her just totally, completely schlubbed in her home state of South Carolina.
I don't think it matters, Bruce. I think it really is about name recognition about this. It's about branding.
Well, I just want to see her get spanked, and she thinks she's going to, she's all that in a bag of chips in her home state that she was governor of, and everybody freaking hates her.
Not going to happen. Exactly right. Yep.
And the bad thing is it's an open primary, so the Democrats are all voting for her. She's probably got more Democrat votes in Iowa and New Hampshire than there is Republicans.
She got 29% of the Republicans in New Hampshire. Yeah. So that gives you all you need to know. Friends, thank you so much for being part of our show today. We really appreciate you. Appreciate all your support, your love, your emails. This has been really great to be able to host all this week, and it's more fun with Lewis when Lewis is back. It's we have a lot of banter and a lot of good conversation, and always with Bruce on Fridays. I cannot wait for our Friday show. It's always my favorite show. So we'll see you back here, same time, same channel tomorrow. Thank you, Bruce. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Yeah, digging deep in the, going to the bench when Lewis is out on Third Street.